Hello and welcome back. This is James here from the review team, and today we are gonna look at part 2 of the PSP Can We Fix It video. So, as you saw from last time, I basically had to kind of finish up a bit earlier than I planned. I basically broke one of the PSPs during the process of refurbishing it. So there's a little tiny tab on one of the PSPs. Well, both of the PSPs have that little tab. The tab is for the screen, and as I was trying to work with it, I was a bit heavy-handed and I actually knocked off one of the tabs, and that subsequently broke the PSP. That was through my own doing. Unfortunately, that didn't do me any favors. And the worst part about this was that PSP was literally all that needed to be replaced on it was the screen. So that was a little bit frustrating, to be truthfully honest. However, there wasn't anything I could do about it. I did it. So the other thing which I tried to do, which you're seeing in this video right now, is I tried to see if maybe if I stuck it down, maybe that would make that connection with the screen. Unfortunately, that kind of didn't do anything either. I actually bought some Kapton tape because I've seen people using that on sort of handheld mods through different various things on YouTube, but it didn't seem to make that connection for me personally. So I messed about with it a little bit just to see what I could do, and unfortunately there was just nothing from the actual screen itself. So I didn't really know where else to go with that. So basically, that was a bit of a dud. If anyone knows how to actually fix this, down in the comments, please let me know. The only way I can think that could be a possibility of sort of saving it is if I got a donor non-working PSP, just something that isn't going to be used ever again. Maybe that could be used for parts. I don't know. I would definitely still like to try and get this done, but for the time of this recording, there was just no other options I could see. I'm not really majorly technically minded when it comes to hardware, especially with circuits and all that kind of stuff. I've got a basic understanding of all of it, but like I said, it was more frustration on my own part, purely because of the fact that I thought I'd be able to, actually just get it working. So yeah, unfortunately that one is still not broken, so the refurb was not completed. But for the second one, that worked out absolutely fantastic. So as you can see here, I knew that the button layout wasn't working for the triangle, circle, cross and square. So the little part underneath is the little plastic bit that you see on screen right now. I actually obviously bought a new one of those and I installed that just fine. But I will say the actual process is very fiddly. So again, there's a lot of messing about with it, and you need to be making sure you've got the right tools and that you're not being too harsh with anything that you're touching. Like I said, I should have finished probably a good 10 minutes before I did on the last video. I might not have broken the screen, but hey ho. So on to the second one we go. So the second one, as I just mentioned, is the one where the buttons weren't working, but also the screen was damaged on it. So it was technically the more complicated of the two. So it was relatively easy to get the little pad underneath off. It's just stuck down with adhesive, which is, you know, it's not too strong. It's strong enough. It's still it's a bit like sellotape. But it was fantastic to get off. It was just really easy. I just used the little prying tool that I had, and it did just sort of come up a bit like if you're trying to get sellotape off something. So again, putting that on, the fiddliest bits were to actually get the little button off the top. So I had to take off the right button. That came off very easy, but what you've got to remember is there's a little tiny piece of white plastic underneath it, and that is crucial to it being functional. And you need to make sure that you don't lose that little bit, because I nearly did a couple of times. So I actually took it off and you know, sort of made sure it was all stuck down and tested it out before I put anything back on, and it worked. So the other thing you've got to remember when you're applying these mods is on the actual buttons themselves, there's a little piece of rubber that you have to put underneath the screen. And again, through previous attempts of doing this, I have messed it up numerous times where I've actually damaged the rubber. So that's something just to be mindful of. So putting it all back together, then you've got to obviously make sure that you're getting that little rubber piece under the screen. You've got to make sure that little white piece is definitely back on where it's supposed to be, as you will see in this video. It's a little bit confusing as well if you've not taken it off before, or even if it's just popped off. That's the other aspect of it that is quite confusing. And then the little Perspex sort of right button goes on top of it then. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention in the last video is when you're lifting up the little touch bar on the PSP, you've got to ensure that there's a little screw to the left, just under where the D-pad is, like once you lift the screen off. There's a little screw by there, and you've got to actually ensure that that's been unscrewed and taken off before you try lifting it, because you've got the potential to break the plastic underneath. So like I say, I'm putting back together this PSP now, and yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process when you get into the swing of it, and if you've done this before. But if not, I definitely suggest taking your time and don't get frustrated like I did. But like I said, there's a little piece of plastic that you got to ensure sticks on underneath, and that's absolutely fine. That's pretty straightforward. I gave it just a little bit of a going over with isopropyl alcohol as well, just to sort of freshen everything up a little bit. I've seen people literally soak the boards in different videos that I've seen, just to kind of freshen everything up. That I didn't see that was necessary for this one. It was in really good condition, so I just cleaned up some of the button layouts and bits and pieces like that, and just got a bit of gunk off there, because obviously, as you can imagine, buying it second hand, there's always a bit of gunk. So yeah, I was able to successfully put this all back together, and yeah, the proof is in the pudding. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to save one of the PSPs. There was a little tab that I actually broke myself. I snapped that off, and there was absolutely no chance of saving it, unfortunately. Everything works on it, the screen would have worked on it, it's just the smallest little thing, it's literally minuscule. I don't think they do any like reproductions of that, and I haven't seen any. I did have a little look around. Maybe if I get a spares and repairs part, I don't know. I'll have to keep my eye open, and maybe that can be salvaged at a later point. But luckily, I mean, you know, we managed to save one. And like I said, this is one of the 3000 models, so it's the more desirable. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Actually, it's really good, and like I said, it's functioning absolutely fine. You know, I'm really happy with it. It's all the buttons are working, so you know, it's got everything. You know, the little disk drive on it. seems to be working just fine. So you know, you press the button and then there's a circle. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we have at least one working PSP, which I'm really happy with. So all that's left really to do for this video is just give it a little clean. So I'm going to use my trusty Mr. Sheen, and I'm just going to give it a little freshen up before we finish. So and you know, this just sort of, you know, makes it a bit more bright and sparkly again now. I don't go too heavy-handed on it. A little microfiber cloth. Just give it a little bit of a wipe, and that's it. You know, that's the PSP done. So what I'll probably do with this now, like, you know, I know Graham and Chris have been asking me what I'm planning on doing with it. I'm a bit of a hoarder with PSPs. I just like to keep them as backups. Really, I tend to mod them, and yeah, just generally use it for emulation, really. And I've got quite a big backlog of PSP games, so I'll crack on that, really. But yeah, that's kind of it, really. So let's have a little look. See, I'm just getting these fingerprints off, and there we go. We have one very pretty looking PSP. The scuffs on the screen aren't too bad either, so that's quite nice. And yeah, I think we can successfully say we've fixed it, or at least one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Later.